Good evening and welcome to Swag Her Magazine, The In Between. I am your host, Lachey Young. Please excuse me, I will not probably sound like myself because I am a little under the weather. So bear with me. But tonight's conversation is for the people who had to grow up fast, for the people who became parents while still carrying childhood wounds, for some of us were raising children while we were still emotionally children ourselves. Trying to love while never fully being loved correctly, trying to discipline while still healing from harsh discipline, trying to protect our children while still learning how to protect ourselves. And yet, many of us still did the best we could with what we had. But survival parenting and intentional parenting are not the same thing. Now, tonight we're going to talk about what gets passed down, the trauma, the silence, the emotional absence, and what happens when somebody in the family finally decides it stops with me. Now, some people became parents before they discovered who they were. Many parents were still carrying abandonment, issues, rejection, abuse, neglect, instability, and emotional immaturity. A lot of adults were never taught emotional regulations. Many parents operated in survival mode, not healing mode. Some parents were physical adults, but emotionally still children trying to survive. Now, let's talk about becoming responsible too early. I was 15 years old when I had my first daughter. I did not want any kids. I am grateful I have her. She is absolutely freaking amazing. But at 15, I didn't want any kids. I really, really didn't. That was not a plan. That was not a goal. However, at that time, your parents had to consent in certain things. I'm happy that she did, right? Because I wouldn't have my 31-year-old daughter, and who is a great freaking mom. But becoming responsible too early can definitely stunt you I feel like mentally and emotionally, because you're taking on stuff that you mentally and emotionally um can't even understand. I remember everyone telling me when I first had my daughter that now you have a daughter, you gotta do this and you gotta do that. You're giving me all these expectations that I was not prepared for. I understand that I was doing things, I was playing stupid games and got a good prize, right? However, does not mean that I was mentally, emotionally, or physically prepared to actually love, protect, and care for a child. Never having a safe space to express emotions. All I did at the age of 15 was pass that down to my oldest child. I did not have anything to give her at the age of 15 because I didn't have anything or the tools to give myself. I came from a mom that had her own trauma, and she raised me with the best she could with her traumas. And then I returned, copied and pasted, and did the same thing to my oldest child. Um, Now I did decide that I gave the first year of my oldest daughter's life. I did give her to my aunt, who was willing to help me raise her. I was staying there for a while, but then I decided I wanted to leave. Got pregnant again. Ended up having a baby at the age of 16. Now, when I had the baby at 16, I felt like I was a little bit more prepared. I was not. I was still a child. I was still a little girl, just thinking that, I handpicked this person as the dad at 16. Yes. Handpicked this person to be her dad. Um, More intentions was into it, not even realizing that I was being intentional. And let me tell you, when I met my 30-year-old, 24-year-old, and 19-year-old, they have the same father. When I met their father, I knew I wanted his kids. Yes, at the age of 16, I ain't had no business thinking about that. But I knew I did. And it wasn't for the reason that y'all probably think. Y'all probably thinking, oh, he came from a great family. He did. But that was not what I was thinking about. My dad and my uncles have really pretty eyes. And their dad has really pretty eyes. So scientifically, you know, I wanted my kids to have his eyes, and he had a really great smile. That was as a 16-year-old. That was what was important to me. My kids having pretty eyes and a pretty smile. Does that tell you I was ready for kids? Absolutely, absolutely not. I was not ready to be nobody's mama when that is the qualifying factors of who to have a kid by. Now, I ain't gonna lie. I got amazing freaking fathers for my kids, and I'm thankful for that. I would never, ever want to replace or have anyone else in their shoes. You understand? Because they are amazing. But just to give you a backstory so you can really see, at the age of 16, there was no way I was ready to have nobody kids. When I'm measuring your qualities for your eyes and your smile, that is crazy work. But that is what it was. Having children while still seeking validation yourself, that was a huge thing because I did not value myself at all. I had the lowest self-esteem. I was violated at a young age, and then having kids at young ages, and then not having a voice. I didn't get a voice until last year. I'm 46 years old, and I feel like I did not get my voice until last year, where I know and realize what I have to deal with and what I don't have to deal with, and I don't have to deal with nothing. Okay? But how do you teach emotional safety when nobody taught it for you first? I wasn't able to. I was not able to teach emotional safety to not one of my children. I came from an era where you were seen and not heard. You didn't question your parents. You didn't tell your parents how you felt. You didn't tell them they hurt your feelings. What you did get to hear was stop crying because I said so. You'll be all right. The emotional unavailability, never hearing I love you. Now what I did do when with my kids, I never not say I love you. If I had to leave the house, if I had to hang up the phone, I made that my daily task, and I was very intentional about it to make sure that they heard it from me at all times. Now, just because I said I loved them did not mean I was showing them that I loved them. There's a difference. You can love everybody and say it. But actions speak louder than words every single day. Patterns are everything. Patterns are what matter, not words. So even though I made that an intentional effort, I can't tell you that I 100% understood. I just knew it was something I didn't hear often. So I wanted to make sure my kids heard it all the time. But that didn't mean that I took the time to put in the other things that they needed, the emotional support, um, the being. Now, I felt like I was protecting them, but I'm sure, and I know for a fact, I wasn't the best protector either, um, because I didn't know how to protect my own self. Right? I acted out a lot as a parent. I mean, a lot. I mean, literally, I had the mental capacity of a child, raising children, and I literally would act as such. I mean, even until like 2 years ago, a full on argument when it could have been handled differently. But because of what I still had to maintain, I handled it wrong. Did I need the boundaries? Yes. But was it handled the best way? No. But I can tell you I don't see myself handling it that way ever again because I don't want to teach my kids how not to communicate. Even those that are older, I still make sure I have conversations with them on who I am today, not on who I was with them 31 years ago, 30 years ago, 24 years ago, 19 years ago. Today, who am I today? It's important to know that you have a voice. It's important not to settle for anything. It is important to have your own, not because you don't need nobody, but it's just great to have your own and work for your own things and have an accomplishment. It is important not to get stuck in things just because it's comfortable. I did all of that. And when I look at my children and where I was with every single one of them, my 31-year-old, 30-year-old, and 24-year-old, I can literally tell where I was when I raised them by what the fruit that they have produced. Now, as my 31-year-old and 30 great mothers, yes. Um, but my 30-year-old, when I tell you she's such a great mom, but she does not know that she can, well, she does because I tell her. But it's so hard for her to get the concept of being able to balance being a mom and being herself and putting herself first because what I was when I was raising her was a mom. That is it. There was a job, but I would literally not go to work just so I could make sure I was there for them. So what I taught her was that the kids will always come first. She will always have to sacrifice for them. She can never do what she needs to do for herself because that was who I was when I was raising her. The 31-year-old, I had nothing to give, so she had to go and get all of it for herself. And even when we talk now, I'm constantly reminding her of who she is and what she has. But that is 30 some years of not having those kind of conversations. I've always been an advocate for therapy because I always felt like everybody needs it, right? And I've been in it since the age of 29. And I introduced my kids into it as well when I realized that I had a problem and I wanted to make sure that the problem didn't continue with them. And all of them don't like therapy. My 30-year-old does. She 100% remembers me making them go and me advocating on how important it was. But she's also, I feel like, more emotionally inclined too. Where my 24-year-old, I feel like I raised her to be a man. I feel like I raised her to be a son. There's nothing this girl can't do. I mean, nothing. If I needed to move a sofa tomorrow and had nobody but me and her, she would be in here moving the sofa. And we always joke and tease her and be like, I got 3 sons biological. I have more sons, some of my bonus sons. But when I'm talking to my biological children, we always joke around and say my 24-year-old is a boy too. It's nothing she can't do. Nothing. I mean nothing. But at that place when I was raising her, I wanted to be independent. I didn't want to have to rely on anybody. I felt like I couldn't count on anybody. So I wanted to make sure that she never had to feel what I felt. And what I did was, even to this day, if she asks for help, it's because she has tried everything she possibly can to try to figure it out. And it's a last resort. Versus, you need it, we have it, your dad has it, your bonus father has it, ask for it. No, she is going to try her absolute hardest to not have to ask anyone. And that is from me raising her. Then, um, a lot of children learn fear instead of communication. I feel like a lot of us fear was raised to fear our parents, not really respect them. A lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us, I feel like we were raised to fear our parents and not respect them, and that is a difference. Now with my children, I feel like I raised my children to fear me, the older ones, not TJ, from 19 to 13 and 6, no. 24, 30, and 31, yes. I remember telling them that I had recorders in the house when I felt like they were lying about something, and I would say, "Oh, I'm gonna go play this tape." All I did was not teach you to be honest. Honestly, no, because I was being conniving and lying to get you to tell me the truth. Now, how double standard is that? And now we're able to talk about everything. It's nothing that's off limits. I don't care if they want to talk about who they mess with or issues about feminine problems, whatever the case may be. And I remember my daughter, my 24-year-old, telling me a few weeks ago, she was like, "Mom, you remember when you used to always tell us, I'm not one of your little friends?" And I was like, "I do." And she says, "I am indeed one of your little friends." And she is. And I love that because there's nothing that she can't come and talk to me about. Nothing. I don't care how crazy. I don't care. Nothing is stupid. I don't care. And all of them can come and have a conversation. My 19-year-old, with him, I felt like when me and his dad split, we thought that we was doing the right thing by me taking the girls and he keeping my son. Well, that caused a trauma all by itself because the girls are not going to get as much from dad and my son is not going to get as much as from me because it's already a division. Now, thank God there's no division between them that I can physically see. They all get along. They will ride for each other like no other. So I am thankful for that, but it could have definitely went the right or different way. And I remember at the age my son was 13 years old, and we were driving to Glen Burnie from my house in Odenton, and I explained to him because I felt like I wanted him to know I didn't want him to walk through life, even though he never asked. I personally did not want him to walk through life and think that his mom did not want him, or that his mom was just like, go with your father, you all right, right? And I explained to him what our thought was. Our thought was, you're a boy, you need your dad. Nothing said you're a boy, you need your mom. Nothing said that. Now, and both parents, both of us was available, but it's still that out of sight, out of mind. I don't care how much you love your kids. It's out of sight, out of mind, and we already know kids don't do no whole bunch of calling and all that stuff at all. Unless it's their friends. So it was a lot of missed time in there. Yes, he did come stay with me off and on. We had a 7 day on, 7 day off, but then eventually it got to a place where if he didn't want to come, he didn't have to, and if the girls didn't want to go, they didn't have to. Again, something we should not have done because it does have an effect, right? But anyway, back to the story. I was in the car talking to my son, and I was explaining to him what our thought pattern was when me and his dad split. And I apologized to him. He didn't ask for it, but I wanted him to know that I was sorry for any time that I missed, or anything, or any feeling I have caused him, any pain I've caused him, because I didn't want him to grow up thinking that, because it would affect his life when he starts to date women. I didn't want him to date women like me, the person I was then, or get a girlfriend that's really great and treat her horrible because you still have mama issues. No, let me correct it. And even to this day with my children, when if I remember my oldest daughter telling me I did something to her when she probably was like around the age of 13, I don't remember. Did I push it away like girl bye? It ain't matter. No. I told her I didn't remember. We did joke about it because I said, well, did you die? Right? But then I told her I apologize for that. Because I don't remember does not mean that it did not happen. If you said it happened, if you said I did something that made you feel some type of way, if I did something that hurt you, the only thing I can do as who I am today is apologize and make that right. I wish other parents would do that. It is so many parents out here that absolutely still work in that. Well, if a kid talk back, is the kid talking back or is the kid expressing what they feel? And I feel sorry for parents that's like that. It might work for some, but I guarantee you, when that child is okay with not living or coming to see you, you have to sit with yourself and think about it. I can go sit outside my kids' houses and we laugh for hours, where I'm literally just dropping something off or just swinging by to say, hey, and next thing you know, we are outside for hours laughing and talking and thinking, talking about old stuff. Every parent doesn't have that, and I can tell you why. If your child is okay with not coming to see you or not having you, sit down and ask them why. I guarantee you there's something in there or something there that needs to be addressed that probably has not been addressed. And probably won't, because a lot of us still have that I'm old school. I hate hearing that. Because honey, old school, right? Old school was the school era that we learned how to bury our feelings, not have a voice, not matter, not know how to be valued, don't value ourselves, had low self-esteem, was violated and couldn't tell nobody, walking around with pounds and pounds and pounds of trauma. But you talk, but I'm old school. Baby, do not be proud of that. It's okay to adapt some of those things from what we learned because everything was not bad. But if your child fears you and not respect you, honey, it is a problem. I love laughing with my kids. I love playing with my kids. And my kids are my friends. And I know that's going to make some women and some men clench the pearls and anything else they have. But I enjoy being my kids' friends. I absolutely enjoy it because I'm able to have this conversation with them and they're able to tell me what they feel and I can address it. Even if I need a moment to take it in and process it, I enjoy being able to do that. And literally watching my 6-year-old, a lot of people cringe when my daughter is able to talk to us or my 13-year-old is able to talk back and say what they feel or what they don't like. I don't give a shit. I don't. I don't care because what I am raising and this for the future is a man and a woman, and my other children are included. It's just that because of the years they already had in certain places, it's going to take a little longer for them to get where I am now. But that 13-year-old and that 6-year-old, no, they don't have to recover from anything from me. They don't. And they're able to tell me what they like and what they don't like. They're able to tell me what they agree about and what they don't agree about. And we're going to have a conversation. I want you to be able to express your emotions instead of walking around here angry, upset, doing crazy stuff, doing different type of behaviors because you don't know how to regulate your emotions. Absolutely not. No, can't do it. And then those children become adults trying to unlearn everything they thought was normal. These are the kids that parents who never apologize, children becoming emotional caretakers, kids growing up too fast, parents confusing control with protection. It is a difference. Now, children becoming emotional caretakers. My 24-year-old and 30-year-old at at one point that 30-year-old was emotional caretaker for me. Then a 24-year-old became one. And it wasn't that I purposely raised them to be that way. It was I mean, I did raise them to be that way, but it wasn't intentional. But to this day, my 24-year-old can come around me and she knows exactly what my mood is. She knows when I'm getting overwhelmed. And it's not, I don't have to say a word. Do I like that? A piece, right? The piece that I like is because that means that we are in tune. What I don't like is because my stress is not her stress. What bothers me should not bother her. And my 6-year-old is the same way. I don't know if it's the girls, I don't know. But my 6-year-old is the same way. And I'm constantly with I even have a prayer for her that she does nightly to remind her that she is a child and adult problems are not hers. Because she's the same way. If I'm in, like, by me being under the weather right now, she will come and hug and lay underneath of me. That's cool. But it's not your job to take care of me. My job is to take care of you. You're 6. You don't have to take care of me. But a lot of us don't realize that's what we put in our children is to be our emotional caretakers. They end up being void fillers. They fill in places where like a dad might not be there, so now they're being dad. No, no, let the kids be kids. Let them enjoy life. Um, and prepare them for what life is going to look like. Mainly, make sure they got a voice, right? Now, there is a difference between survival and nurturing. Some parents paid bills but never gave emotional safety. That is a huge fear of mine, which is why I balance my whole day out. And I be exhausted, right? So I'm still tweaking it because I don't want Abigail or Xavier to ever feel like just because I can buy them whatever they need, that's the recipe for that's the recipe for surviving. As long as I can give you what you need, then you should be good. No, I need to make sure that you're emotionally safe as well. Because it's more than just giving you. I have to make sure that I'm taking time out to watch a movie, whether I want to watch it or not, whether I'm tired or not, right? I will put a few minutes aside. I had Abigail in my calendar, well, not now, when she was doing homeschool to make sure we had a book, time for books, a time for a movie, a time to go outside. Because I wanted to make sure no matter how busy my life was, that she's seen a balance. I never wanted her to feel like I'm not there outside of being able to provide, because it's more than providing. It is. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the children that were not able to get a parent to give them both sides of life, to be able to give them the finance as well as the emotional and physical support that they need. It has to be a balance. The kids didn't ask to be here. So you going out here and working 120 hours a week to make sure that they have a home and clothes and finer things and travel, cool. Are you doing these things with them? Are you traveling with them? Are you taking them on trips? Or are you just making sure they have food and a roof over their head? It's more to that than just providing. Are y'all having movie nights? Are you sitting down and watching something that your child likes? Or are you just a provider? Because guess what? Mark my words. If the only thing that you give your child is um, financial safety, they're only going to come to you when they financially need you. They're not going to come to you when they emotionally need you, when they physically need you. Because what you have now showed them is the only way you can show up for them is through finances. And what's going to happen is somebody outside your doors is going to give them a compliment. And then the next thing you know, they're going to find themselves in an uncomfortable predicament Or they're gonna bring somebody home that you ain't gonna like because they done told them they pretty and gave them quality time. Kids need that. They don't just need finances. They need uninterrupted, intentional quality time. You can balance everything. Have a shut off time. If you work 8 to 12, 8 to 10 p.m. at night, then you need to find a cutoff somewhere or put an hour somewhere in there. Take a break. One, you should be taking a break for yourself. One. But then on the other side, take a break for your child. Show your child how important they are because I promise you they are paying attention. Some children grow up never hearing, I'm proud of you. I see you. You matter. I purposely do these things. I tell my kids all, like, even if we're on the phone, you are so pretty. My 13-year-old, I ask him all the time, you know, you handsome, you know, you smart, you are like, I'm making sure I'm giving you what the world ain't never got to give you because I'm making sure that I'm equipping you with everything you need, that you don't have to go out here and get it from the first person that is willing to give it to you. Absolutely not. Because you already know. You already set. I got you here. Anybody else that come along should help go up. But you're not here, you're not empty. I refuse to have my children empty. And like I said, the older ones, I said to them as well. It's nothing off limits for any of them. Whatever the younger ones get, I'm able to pour into them. The only difference is it is fixing mistakes with the older ones. So it will take a little bit more time for them to really grasp onto it and hold it. Where the 13 and 6-year-old, 19, 13, 16-year-old, I feel like they were already put in a place of the things that I'm doing now because I was already starting to work on myself. I was in therapy, and then now it's even better because I'm making sure that my kids know they have a voice. Lack of affection can create adults who struggle with intimacy, fear of vulnerability, overperform for love. This is that love bombing. This is the people that you meet that will buy you everything, take you on trips, take you out to eat, and then when they get you, it's stop. Because it's a performance. It's not real. It's not real at all. And tolerate unhealthy relationships. You'll find yourself staying in places longer than you're supposed to because you feel like that is what you deserve. Because somewhere in your life you didn't get the tools that you needed to make sure you know that you ain't got to settle for nothing. Now, some people are not hard to love. They were just raised without soft love. I know for me, it was very hard to receive love, which in part I could tell you I love you, but it was hard to be affectionate. Even to my kids, like a hug, cool, right? But even with my 13-year-old, I have to remind myself when he comes to hug me to let him lay there for a while. It is still hard for me just to be like, let's just completely embrace. Now, if he's upset, I'm holding him until he is calm. I'm holding him until he feels safe again. We're having a conversation. But just to come like out of the blue and give a hug, it's you okay? All right, I love you. Right? That's still something I have to work on. I have not mastered it to the point where it is not constantly being worked on. Mastering it is I am constantly and consistently working on these things. Now, what happens when a child only learns survival but never learns softness? I can tell you, they'll never find real love. Everything will be in survival mode. They'll never even realize they holding their breath. They'll never realize that they are pushing away the right people to hold on to the ones they don't have to give a lot to. Mm. One healed person can shift an entire generation by going to therapy, learning emotional intelligence, apologizing to your children. I'm big on that. Breaking toxic family patterns. I'm huge on that. I don't care what you call me. You can call me bougie. You can call me whatever you want. I've always known I wanted more out of life than just the bare minimum of what I see my family have. And if that makes me bougie, cool. But what is also showing you that it's possible, that you can do it too. I am the one that choose to be different in my out of my mom and my grandmother's kids and grandkids. I do want to be different, and I have other cousins that are doing the same thing. They want it different, so they're doing different. My um, first time buying a house was me as a grandchild. The first then my godson bought a house. He's the first great grandchild to do it. I will be the first to get a college degree. Like I made a conscious decision that what I was raised on will not be what raises me going forward, nor will it be what raises my children, because I want them to know that it is okay to be different, and it's not always comfortable, but it is 100% necessary. Now, choosing gentleness over fear, that is something that you need to be able to change um, the the shift. Learning boundaries, becoming emotionally available, that is important. Like I said, that I'm still working on. I will listen. I will have conversations with my children, and I'm learning now to make sure if I'm giving you feedback, or are you just venting? Because again, I will give you my feedback, but I also realize if you're just repeating the same thing over and over again, I get frustrated and don't want to talk. So instead, now I want to know: am I just listening, or do you want to know what you should do? And it helps me to one, protect their boundaries, because they might not want to hear what I got to say, and then two, it helps me not get frustrated because you keep doing the same thing over and over again. But it's also at the same time reminding this is what you taught, so they're only doing what they've seen or heard, right, or feel, because they're lacking something. Healing does not mean perfection; it means awareness. Breaking cycles is not easy because you are grieving the version of parenting you should have received. Reparenting yourself while parenting your children. I have been doing this for the last 6 years. I have been reparenting myself while raising my children. And I know that sounds so weird, but literally I pay attention. If my paying attention to what my kids need now also heals and touches something in me that I did not have and did not do for them, but I'm able to do now. Even if it's just sitting on the phone and chopping it up or laughing, because I don't want to always be the serious parent. Um, I don't want to always be the good cop, bad cop. Like I don't want to always be the bad cop. I enjoy being able to talk to my kids. And one of my friends, she always say, "You and your kids act like y'all sister and brother," and I'm okay with that. I am, because my kids can talk to me about anything, and I pride in that. I do. I do. Because at one point I couldn't get them to tell me nothing unless they were snitching on each other. Now it's full conversations on what's going on in their life, friendships, relationships, sex, everything. And I am okay with it. I promise you. Like I 100% enjoy it. Um Giving your children language for emotions. My 6 year old is allowed, all of them are, but I'm using her because she's the one that's most vocal right now. Um, when her feelings is hurt, if she don't want to do something, if she doesn't want to wear something, I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with it, because I want you to know that your voice matters. I want you to know, I'm sorry, y'all. I want you to know that you're allowed to have your emotions. You're allowed to not like something. You're allowed to not want to do something. You're allowed to have boundaries at 6 years old, respectfully. And a lot of people feel like I play too much with my kids. I don't care. I love my kids, and I love where we are. And it's not me overdoing it because of guilt or nothing. I promise you, I ain't got nothing that I'm guilty. I mean, that I regret. Nothing, because all those things made me who I am today, as the mom I am, divorcing the title but keeping the position, giving my own expectations, creating who I want to be to my children, and allowing them to accept or not accept, but also making sure that they have a voice, that I'm showing up, that I am not just saying I love them, but actually showing that I love them. I will send them prayers just so they have one, right? Um, we have conversations about spirituality. We have conversations about stocks. Like, we talk, right? I just feel like it's important to have those things, and we don't always have those things in us, those tools in us, when we don't face the traumas, or the child that's still inside of us that has not or did not get to grow up because we became parents too young. I am telling you, it is never too late to reparent yourself. Your children do not need a perfect parent. They need a present one. That is so very important. Now, in closing, I think one of the bravest things a person can do is look at their childhood honestly without allowing it to define their future. Some of us came from homes filled with silence, some trauma, emotional distance, fear, and survival. But healing gives us another option. We could become the parent we needed, the safe place we never had, the love we once searched for, and maybe that is what growth really is. Not pretending that that trauma never happened, but making sure it no longer controls what happens next. Now, I have a few questions I would love for you guys to sit with, answer in the chat, whatever you want to do. What is something you had to unlearn from your childhood? That's one. Two, what does intentional parenting look like to you? Three, can a parent love their children deeply and still cause emotional damage? I feel like yes. Four, what cycle are you determined to break? Five, what did you need most as a child that you now give your children? Now, in ending, some of us were children raising children, but healing gives us the opportunity to become adults who finally raise with intention instead of survival. I want you to sit with this. I hope you enjoyed this segment. Please excuse me that I'm not my best today, but I want you to answer those questions. Put it in the chat. Sit with it. It is important, and it is not too late to apologize. It does not matter if you believe what the person is telling you. What matters is if a child comes to you and tell you did something to them that hurt them, or you did something that made them feel some type of way ever, or you abused them in any type of way, it is okay to simply apologize. I promise you that will be the first step of the best part of your future with your child. And you'll still be able to teach your child that it is never too late to own what you did, be accountable for another person's feelings, and on the other side of it, show them that you are willing to walk in the path of healing. You are willing to listen and you understand that they need to be seen, they need to be heard, they need boundaries just as well as you are. And stop using that scripture, honor thy mother and thy father, without giving the full detail of the other part of that. Please stop doing that. Love on your babies, love on yourself, and remember, it is you first, always, then everything else. And if you need to sit with the title of being a mom, do that. Write out what it looks like. What kind of mom do you want to be now that you're older and able to say what kind of mom you want to be? Not the expectations everybody put on you, not what they said you had to do, need to do. What is it that you want to do? Who are you today? And what does that give to your children today? How can you not go back, how can you go forward and still fix and mend those things that happened in the past without getting stuck? And also, now I'll probably make this another topic, maybe next week. Do not let your kids guilt you into anything. Okay? Once you have a conversation, you apologize, forgive yourself. That is the key. Forgive yourself because you only could do what you could do with what you have. And a lot of us did not have what we needed to bring children into this world. We gave them what we had, and sometimes it takes an apology to move forward. You guys be blessed. I love you, and I pray you love yourself. Have a good evening.